Hey, welcome back. I was walking through East River Park the other evening, just as the sun was dipping behind the Manhattan skyline, and I saw something that made me stop. A group of kids were playing, chasing each other around the skeletal remains of an old, gnarled tree. And it struck me how often the most innocent places, the most ordinary landscapes, hold layers of hidden history. Beneath our feet, in the forgotten gullies and overgrown lots of any city, there are stories. And some of those stories are dark enough to chill the soul. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Underworld Kings, the rise and fall from Light Not Studios. Today, we're going to Cleveland, Ohio. Not the Cleveland of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but a different, shadowed city from the 1930s. A city gripped by the Great Depression, where poverty was rampant and hope was a scarce commodity. And in this landscape of despair, a predator found the perfect hunting ground. This is the story of the Kingsbury Run Murders, and the phantom they called the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run. It began, as these things often do, with a discovery that seemed almost accidental. On September 5th, 1935, two young boys were playing in a rugged, trash-strewn ravine known as Kingsbury Run, an area of shantytowns, hobos, and industrial blight. They stumbled upon what they thought was a discarded medical mannequin. It was not. It was the lower half of a woman, neatly severed at the waist. 2 days later, and just a few miles away, the headless, limbless torso of a man was found. The police managed to fit the pieces together, literally. They were from the same victim, a young man, beheaded and dismembered with what authorities noted was surgical precision. The Mad Butcher had announced himself. And then silence. For almost a year. You could almost feel the city holding its breath, hoping it was a one-time atrocity. But on June 5th, 1936, the butcher returned. Two more headless male torsos were found in a burlap sack in the same ravine. This was his pattern, his signature. Kingsbury Run was his dumping ground. The victims, almost always men, were decapitated and often dismembered at the joints. The cuts were clean, professional. The heads were never found. Identification was nearly impossible. These were the forgotten men of the Depression, transients, migrant workers, men who wouldn't be missed, or so the killer thought. But he missed something. In turning them into nameless torsos, he erased their identities but amplified their humanity. Their very anonymity made them a symbol of every vulnerable person in that desperate decade. The city was in a panic, and into this maelstrom stepped a man who would become the public face of the hunt, Eliot Ness. Yes, the Eliot Ness, the legendary prohibition agent who helped bring down Al Capone. By 1936, he was Cleveland's director of public safety. He was young, charismatic, and famous for being untouchable. This was his chance to cement his legacy, to transition from chasing bootleggers to capturing a serial killer, a term they didn't even have back then. Ness took charge with dramatic flair. He ordered a massive police raid on Kingsbury Run's shantytown, burning the hobo encampments to the ground in an effort to flush out the killer or destroy his hunting ground. It was a controversial, brutal move that displaced hundreds of already destitute people. Did it work? No. The killings continued. The investigation was a maze of dead ends and bizarre theories. They had suspects. One of the most compelling was Dr. Francis E. Sweeney, a brilliant but alcoholic and unstable surgeon from a prominent Cleveland family. His medical knowledge fit the profile perfectly. Eliot Ness himself allegedly interrogated Sweeney in a hotel room for days, in a secret, off-the-books operation. The story goes that Sweeney taunted Ness, even confessed in cryptic ways, but then would recant. Ness became convinced Sweeney was the butcher, but without a body, without a single piece of physical evidence linking him to the crimes, and with Sweeney's powerful political family applying pressure, nothing could be done. Sweeney was eventually committed to a psychiatric hospital, where he died years later. Was he the butcher? We will never know for sure. And that's the haunting core of this story. The killings, which numbered at least 12 and possibly many more, just stopped. After 1938, the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run vanished as completely as the heads of his victims. Did he die? Did he move away? Was he, in fact, Dr. Sweeney, safely locked away? The case went cold, leaving behind a legacy of terrifying questions. I think about this case a lot, not just as a gruesome historical puzzle, but as a stark lesson in the nature of evil and the limits of justice. Coming from an engineering background, I'm trained to look for systems, for patterns that lead to a definitive solution. But history, especially true crime history, often refuses to comply. Here was a killer who operated with mechanical precision, yet his motive remains utterly opaque. Was it a twisted sense of surgery? A hatred for the downtrodden? We can't apply our logic to his madness. And then there's Elliot Ness. We want our heroes to have clean narratives. He got Capone, he'll get the butcher. But reality is Messier. His aggressive tactics, like burning the run, speak to a man under immense pressure, resorting to desperation. It's a reminder that the pursuit of a monster can sometimes lead good people to do monstrous things. The story isn't just about the rise and fall of a criminal king, but about the rise and strain of the man who tried to stop him. The Kingsbury Run murders left a permanent scar on Cleveland. They exposed the city's underbelly, the human cost of the Depression, and the terrifying fact that a person could disappear into the gears of the industrial age and be made into a mere mystery. The Mad Butcher was a phantom who exploited anonymity, both in his choice of victims and in his own escape. So the next time you walk past a vacant lot, a quiet stretch of woods, or an urban ravine, remember that geography has a memory. Places like Kingsbury Run are more than just locations on a map. They are silent witnesses to stories that ended in the dark. The victims of the butcher may never have their names back, but in telling their story, we refuse to let them be completely erased. Thank you for listening to this episode of Underworld Kings. If these deep dives into history's shadows fascinate you, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us out. And for more documentaries and stories from the edge of history, visit our home at Light Not Studios. That's lightnotstudios.com. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi. Until next time, take care, and remember to look a little closer at the world beneath your feet.